Hey there! If you're studying hard and trying to finally conquer that IELTS exam, well, you are in exactly the right place. In this explainer, we're going to completely transform your score. How? By breaking down the absolute most common grammar mistakes that trip people up in the IELTS exam, and more importantly, by giving you the ultimate fixes. So ask yourself, are tiny, seemingly insignificant grammar mistakes keeping you stuck at a band 6? Look, it's an incredibly common and honestly a deeply frustrating experience. You know English well, right? You've got great ideas, but somehow you just find yourself stranded on that dreaded 6.0 or 6.5 plateau. Well, the good news is, the barrier here isn't your intelligence. It's usually just a handful of recurring micro errors. Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for today. We'll start with the 25% grammar rule. Then we'll master sentence range. After that, we'll tackle those sneaky small words, conquer time and tenses, and finally, discover exactly why simplicity over complexity is your ultimate weapon. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The 25% grammar rule. Understanding the stakes of GRA. You know, understanding how you're actually graded is the very first step to hacking your score. Grammatical range and accuracy literally makes up a quarter of your entire exam score for both writing and speaking. Think about that for a second. You can have beautiful vocabulary, you can have brilliant arguments, but if your grammar is fundamentally flawed, you are leaving 25% of your potential score right on the table. It literally makes or breaks your result. So let's define this clearly. What exactly is GRA? Well, it's your ability to write and speak using a variety of complex sentence structures without making errors. And I want you to notice the delicate balance here. It's kind of like a tightrope walk. You've got to show the examiner that you have range, meaning, you aren't just using the exact same simple structures over and over again, but at the same time, you also must have accuracy, producing those complex structures cleanly. Now, let's look at how this actually breaks down across the scoring system. Down at band 6, you're considered competent, but you make errors with complex grammar. Now, to hit band 7, you need frequent error-free sentences. And to reach that coveted band 8, your errors must be rare, and your sentence structures have to be highly flexible and natural. The entire journey from a 6 to an 8 is really all about tightening your control over these specific structures. Moving on to Section 2, Mastering Sentence Range, the architecture of a high band score. All right, we need to directly attack a massive misconception right now, and that's the idea that a longer sentence is always a better sentence. I want you to keep this number in your head, 3. 3 is the absolute maximum number of clauses a sentence should ever have. See, the human brain finds it incredibly hard to process massive amounts of information all at once. If you try to string together 4 or 5 clauses just to sound academic, you're almost guaranteeing a confusing, error-prone run-on sentence. Complex doesn't mean long, guys. It means conveying your argument clearly. Just listen to the difference here. The weak band 6 example tries way too hard. Even if employees engage in their jobs for a long time, they fail to climb, which is a goal, therefore they face reality. It's clunky, it's breathless, and honestly, it's hard to digest. Now, the strong band 8 fix is much more concise and authoritative. Even if employees stay in one job for a long time, they will often fail to climb the business ladder. See, by just cutting out that verbose clutter, the actual meaning shines through beautifully. So, here is an absolutely crucial rule to remember. The examiner can only pay you for each type of sentence once. Think of grammar like currency. If you write a brilliant inversion sentence starting with not only, boom, you get paid. But if you use that exact same structure again later in your conclusion, the examiner cannot give you more points for it. You need structural variety if you want to maximize your payout. Okay, Section 3. The sneaky small words, fixing the micro errors that destroy accuracy. Let's shift gears and look at the absolute most common grammar mistakes in the IELTS exam when it comes to micro errors. Consider this your uncountable hit list. Advice, information, research, news, and knowledge. Now, I know in a lot of other languages you might be able to count them, but in English, you absolutely cannot. That means they should never have an S at the end, and you can never put a or an in front of them. You can see exactly how this trap plays out. A weak band 6 sentence says, I read an information and 3 advices. Ouch, that is an immediate red flag to an examiner. To fix this trap, you just have to use quantifier phrases. The strong band 8 example perfectly demonstrates this. I read a piece of information and some advice. You could also use phrases like a great deal of or a massive amount of. Just promise me you will never force plurals on uncountable nouns. Which brings us to Section 4, Conquering Time and Tenses, ensuring flow in your speaking and writing. Time and tenses constantly trip up candidates, especially in the heat of the speaking test when your brain is just racing a mile a minute. Here is a classic mistake. The weak example says, he live in Canada and work in a bank. It's completely missing that vital third-person S in the present tense. It must be, he lives in Canada and works in a bank. And here's a pro tip. Because live ends in a voiced sound, that S actually makes a voiced Z sound. So when you're practicing, I want you to overemphasize that voiced Z sound. He lives this in Canada. Do that until it becomes pure muscle memory. I know it sounds a little strange in practice, but trust me, it is exactly how you train your tongue. Another huge tense trap is the first conditional. A lot of candidates incorrectly force the word will into the wrong part of the sentence, saying awkward things like, if I will have a chance. To fix this, just play the what if game step by step out loud to yourself. Step 1, what if it rains? Answer, if it rains, I will take my umbrella. Step 2, what if it breaks? Answer, if it breaks, I will borrow one. Step 3, what if they are away? Answer, if they are away, I will buy one. By literally answering these chained questions out loud, you automatically master the if plus present tense followed by future tense structure, and you do it without awkwardly forcing it. All right, final section, Section 5, Simplicity over Complexity, Why Forcing Grammar Backfires. Now, here is the ultimate truth that honestly should bring you massive relief. Most native speakers have absolutely no idea how to use a semicolon. It's completely true. So, why do so many IELTS candidates risk their scores trying to force them into their essays? Look, if you want a high score, keep your punctuation tightly controlled. Just stick to the absolute basics: commas, full stops, and capital letters. With punctuation, less is always, always more. An extra comma where one isn't needed is much worse than a missing one. And speaking of commas, well, this brings us to the deadly comma splice. Look at the weak example here. The phone is useful, it helps us connect. You simply cannot join two complete independent sentences with just a comma. It absolutely destroys your grammatical control score. But the cure is super simple. Just use a proper conjunction. The strong example fixes this effortlessly. The phone is useful because it helps us connect. It's simple, it's accurate, and it seamlessly connects your ideas. As we wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with this final crucial question. Will you force complex grammar to sound smart, or will you focus on clear communication to actually be understood? Remember, your sentence structures, they're just the vehicles for your ideas. Prioritize clarity, automate your tenses, and respect those sneaky small words. If you do that, you won't just escape Band 6, you'll leave it in the dust. So the next time you sit down to write a practice essay, ask yourself, are you writing just to impress an examiner, or are you writing to actually connect? Keep practicing, stay focused, and you've got this.